The Brown Shoe Company was founded by George Warren Brown in 1878. He had moved to St. Louis, Missouri 4 years prior, and after working at his older brother's shoe business, Brown saw potential for a shoe factory in the city, as most shoes at the time were manufactured in New England. Brown collaborated with investors Alvin L. Bryan and Jerome Desnoyers, and together founded Bryan Brown & Company. The factory started out with 5 skilled shoemakers from New York, mostly producing shoes for women. The business proved to be quite profitable, making $110,000 in its first year. After incorporating in 1881, Bryan would retire from the business 4 years later, followed by Desnoyers in 1893. From then on, the business would simply be titled the Brown Shoe Company. The factory found major opportunities by the turn of the century. The company had grown to 5 factories across Missouri, employing over 600 employees that could make 5,000 pairs of footwear daily, and the business was raking in $1 million each year. They were invited to the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair, where they would hold an exhibit showing off their latest shoe designs. It was here that an executive for the company met with Richard F. Outcault, the creator of the Buster Brown comic strip. They were able to work out a deal to have the Buster Brown character be the company's mascot and promote their new line of children's shoes. While the business appeared to be incredibly lucrative from the outside, things weren't as glamorous behind the scenes. Wanting to keep their products affordable, managers would severely underpay their staff. Most of the shoemakers were women and children as young as 12, who were given lower wages than adult male workers. The estimated wage for a 16-year-old girl at the factory was about $10 per week. Factory conditions were so poor that many employees formed unions and went on strike. In response, George Brown became a member of the Citizens Industrial Association, an anti-union organization that reportedly blacklisted union supporters. On January 13, 1904, at about 5:45 p.m., workers at one of the company's St. Louis locations were ready to head home for the day. Temperatures in St. Louis that day reached lows of 14 degrees Fahrenheit, so the workers were likely hoping to leave as soon as possible. On the building's 6th floor, the men that worked there were crowding in front of the elevator, something that was apparently a common occurrence at the factory. The elevator's operator, James Johnson, told the men to back up as they were pushing against the gate so hard that he couldn't open it. The workers ignored him and continued to push and shove. Eventually, Johnson decided to head up to the 7th floor and come back for those on the 6th once they stopped pushing. After the elevator left, someone was able to get the gate open. The workers towards the back of the crowd failed to notice that the elevator had left, so they began to push forward once they saw the gate was open. In doing so, they inadvertently caused 10 of the workers in the front to fall down the elevator shaft. They plummeted down 7 stories before they hit the hard concrete floor below. Only then did the crowd stop shoving. A staff member on the 6th floor informed the factory's director, I.H. Sawyer, who shut down the elevator. Once he made his way to the basement, he found that 6 of the workers that fell were dead. This included the only adult of the group, 45-year-old Carmen Giacomo, whose son Lorenzo had also fallen down the shaft with him. Lorenzo, along with Tony Kirshner, Willie Pearson, and Abe Weinberg, were taken to the hospital in critical condition. It's believed that the bodies of the other workers cushioned their impact. By the next day, however, all but Kirshner had died from their injuries. Aside from Carmen, the ages of the victims ranged from 12 to 15. After the accident, I.H. Sawyer visited the families of the victims to personally give his condolences. He also offered them the company's resources to assist them. An initial investigation by St. Louis police led to James Johnson being arrested. But after he explained that the workers were the ones to open the gate, and that there was no malfunction with the elevator, which was corroborated by a superintendent, he was eventually released. The tragedy didn't appear to hamper the business itself, as the Brown Shoe Company continued to see years of success until the stock market crash of 1929. As the Great Depression took effect, company executives were struggling to keep manufacturing costs down, which led to them paying their staff even less and letting their conditions worsen. It was found that one factory based in Illinois was paying their workers as little as $2.50 for 60-hour work weeks. In the years that followed, several executive actions meant to ease worker tensions were made by President Franklin Roosevelt, including standardized wages and the right to unionize. George Brown, however, only ramped up his company's anti-union practices. A complaint issued by the city's regional labor board revealed the extent of this behavior, including physical intimidation of unionizers, threatening to shut down factories where strikes took place, hiring a strike-breaking agency, and even paying a spy to infiltrate the union's organizations. After several unions disbanded due to these intimidation tactics, the National Labor Relations Board cited the company for violating the Wagner Act. Prospects were finally looking up for employees, as the minimum wage was introduced with the Fair Labor Standards Act of 1938, as well as the banning of child labor. Despite this, workers that were fired for union activity were not rehired. The business is still in operation today, now going under the name Caleres. They currently own about 1,000 retailers in the country under dozens of brand names, including Famous Footwear, Naturalizer, and Dr. Scholl's.